comments, but when you put in for that advance leave for the week or more in the 2 months, and management has to the end of the month to approve or deny it.
Right.
And a lot of people that go and like purchase airline tickets want to know as soon as possible whether or not that will be approved because of getting refunds. Is there any way that they can ask or for that to be approved like earlier than anybody else?
An individual puts in leave.
I thought you were answering it for. Go ahead.
Individual puts in leave. Did you hear the question?
No.
Okay. Individual put in for leave, the advance leave during the roster period, and the manager has so much time to give them an answer. She wants to know, can that person go out and purchase, who's purchased the airline ticket, ask them for a little faster? I want to go get my airline ticket. Could you let me know if I'm going to be approved or not earlier than that?
I would say, where are they on their roster, Anita?
Somewhere in the middle, where it's not guaranteed that they...
In the middle?
Yeah.
The manager should, after that first day, be able to say, yes, I think I'm going to approve it, or if I'm not, if it's a particular period of time. Remember, the roster part talks about, are we talking about a time during one, around a holiday for this person?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
No, but if it's not a period around the holiday, it talks about a week or more of a conflict. And, you know, if it's not around a holiday, there shouldn't be any problem knowing that they're going to approve the person, because a period of more than a couple of days holds precedent, like a week holds precedent over somebody wanting 1 day in that period. In other words, if you wanted off the whole week of, and I'm not going to pick July 4th, let's say July 15th to July 30th, and somebody said, and they're saying, well, you can't have it because Dawn wants off July 18th, so we need you there on the 18th. No, they're supposed to look, your 2-week period have precedent over her 1 day. But they should know, they're supposed to do it within 30 days of the time. They're asking in the new contract to push that back even further as far as when the request period starts. Like, in other words, all the requests would be in for January 31st or leave starting April 1st. So that would resolve that. You would know at least 2 months in advance that has been approved or denied before that period comes up. So yeah, they know that's a problem. But the manager should clearly know as soon as those slips are in whether they even think there is a possible conflict. And for them not to tell somebody, it's just out of line.
But are they required to?
They're not required not to. They're required to make that decision in 30 days. I mean, if they don't, I would say you can pressure them and say, I want to know what the requests are, or not, I'm going to give you, you know, we have a right to know, show us what everybody requested. We don't have to tell you what we approved. You go to the person and say, I would think you're going to be approved.
So the employee has a right then to say who else has requested the same time period off as I do, so they could, on their own, kind of judge whether or not there's going to be a conflict?
You know, I don't see why there's any reason they can't make those within the first week, you know, the decision.
She wants to know if they tell you who actually asked for leave at the same time.
Yeah, there's no reason they can't tell you that. I mean, you could say, if not, I'm going to put in a request. You have a right. I mean, we could put in a request under our rights to know as a union representative. Sure, there's no reason they can't tell us that. We have a right to know because, well, would you just tell them that in order to make sure the contract being enforced properly, I want to know who the requests are and for what days they put in for. Because it's a contractual provision.
But would you have a problem with that if, let's say, someone who's first on that list puts in their leave like the 27th of February for that same time period? If they've already approved that?
The roster periods talk about, okay.
During the months of February and August of each year?
Yeah.
That D?
But you would have a conflict for that date? You know what I mean? There really shouldn't be any conflict for that date. Okay, it says for the roster, during the months of February and August, employee will be notified to submit requests for extended leave of 1 calendar or more.
It's on the roster.
Or request for, yeah. Okay. Or request around the holiday. Okay? So, that's not a conflict date. Alright? I mean, that's not even a date when the roster should be done, so they should easily tell anybody whether they have anybody who's requested time for that or not. So I mean, that's not a roster date, so they should be approving that, just like they approve any request. If you give them one today, Colleen, saying you want to be off next Thursday, they're going to decide right now, right, whether that roster conflicts with it or not. Same thing, they should be doing that. That's not a period that covers under the roster. So that's what you're just saying. It talks specifically about
One calendar
extended
week
leave
or more.
or days
Immediate.
immediately following federal holiday. And I don't think February 27th is a federal holiday, on a day.
No, I'm referring to hers. If someone's asking in advance because they have an air flight that they want, let's say February 3rd for June 15th. It's not a holiday period, but let's say they're going somewhere for 2 weeks and they want that air flight. And they put in for February 3rd and say, I need to know. And someone who's first on the list doesn't put in their leave to the 27th. And well, it shouldn't be, because there's not more than one person probably.
Again, I don't see it coming up because it's not a heavy vacation period.
Yeah, when it comes to airline flights, and then I always, in our Title II unit, we always, listen, I'm going out of town.
Yeah.
Are y'all good with this date? I mean, a lot of us don't get along in our units, but listen, I'm trying to buy a flight here.
I mean, to tell you the truth, Colleen, in all the years I've done it, the conflicts I see revolve around 3 big days.
Person.
Okay. 4th of July, particularly if it falls in the middle of the week, because a lot of people do like to take that whole week off. Thanksgiving and Christmas, New Year's time. I consider that one because usually it's somebody wanting to cover both time. Other than that, I've never heard of somebody saying, I have a conflict for the middle of May or something like that. I mean, they just don't. So usually it revolves around the holidays. So I can't see where a manager at that point wouldn't be able to tell somebody right away, well, there's nobody else taking that time off. And it would only be, again, it would only be if you had more than one person wanting more than the week or more off. A day isn't a conflict. So they can't say, well, I'm not going to let Donna for the whole week because Colleen's already off one day. They can work around it. I mean, they can work around it.